Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Dumb SEO Questions, episode 183. Each week we meet here to talk about answer the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+. With us tonight we have David Rozam. Wants me to call him the world's greatest SEO.
Thank
you.
I do.
David, you're welcome. David is an SEO of 12 years standing and a copywriter of 32 years standing. Masataki Wasa is webmaster of, you can find David, I should say, at writingforseo.org. Masataki Wasa, as I said, is webmaster of wasaweb.net. He's also a Google Top contributor on the AdSense and the Google Plus help community. You can find Masataki at wasaweb.net. Senior SEO manager for Zazzle. No, not Zazzle. No, that's in the past. Senior SEO manager for Zendesk.com and regular speaker at SMX and Martech is Micah. No, is that wrong too?
I wouldn't say regular speaker at Martech. That was just the first time.
Well, like it was the week before last and the week before that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And then this week, so that's pretty regular.
Yeah. Just one or two a year.
Okay. All right. Micah Fisher-Kirshner is on the west coast of Australia. He's the senior SEO manager for Zendesk. Rob Mars is in the Netherlands. He's an AdWords aficionado. You can find Rob at marketbiz.nl, marketbiz.nl. Rob is also a Google Top contributor on the AdWords and the webmasters and search communities in the Dutch language. And what have I said to Jim has just transported Micah to Australia. Did I say you were in the west coast of Australia, east coast of Australia? I am an idiot. West coast of the USA for Micah Fisher-Kirshner. And Tim Capper is the CEO of onlineownership.com. He's also a Google Top contributor on the Google My Business community. I must be getting old. It's getting harder and harder to do this. All right. Our first question is from our good friend Chase Rayner. It's on, he's seeing a Wikipedia result after our result URL. We noticed that Google includes Biopack Student Lab Wikipedia after our result URL. We prefer our company or research systems acknowledge Wikipedia listing for many items or as the default. Is there a way to change this? Chase asks. Anybody?
Hold on, just kind of doing a quick look here. So they're trying to get...
They've basically got one listing there, and they're hoping to put more listings there rather than the Wikipedia entry, which is for that type of product, an ECG electrocardiograph amplifier, but that's for a different company, I think, the Wikipedia entry.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to get a understanding on that. It seems basically Google's associated that with their company. So let me see what that is then on the that's interesting. They've got so basically, according to them, they've got the wrong Wikipedia page. That's not their company. Assuming that's the case, interesting. So well, do they have? So we would want their, I guess, where's their Wikipedia page then for BioPack?
It's the gray thing next to the.
No, the actual Wikipedia page for BioPack. They've got the student lab, but where's the one that goes for their actual BioPack wiki page?
I think it's clearer. When I was looking at it the other day, it was easier to look at a Google search for ECG amplifier, and yeah, it was clearer than the diagram anyway.
BioPack. Let's try that. Student lab.
I don't see any other Wikipedia results. You're just looking for BioPack.
System. Yeah, they don't have a wiki, so that would be why. Unless I'm missing it. So research systems acknowledge Wikipedia. So here's the thing: they're not associating acknowledge. No, do they? Nope. Acknowledge goes to their BioPack student lab. What was the other one they called it? Research systems. No, that's just irregular info systems. Current research information. As far as I'm aware, they only have one wiki page. Now, there might have been some merging, and if so, that could be a problem for them, because it looks like Google's associating their student lab as BioPack. That's what I'm seeing here.
It's interesting because if you read the BioPack student lab Wikipedia entry, there is the outgoing link to an external site,
which is their site.
Yeah, it goes to the biopack.com. I'm just confused. Do they allow outgoing links to external sites in the actual entry?
They can.
Okay.
I mean, it's just if people are finicky about it. Usually, you don't see it as much. So I'm sure we could go in and edit it, whatever. But yeah,
because I normally associate a live link within the article, those links as links to other entries in Wikipedia rather than links.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why they have the thing at the end that points out. But yeah, normally it's down in the references. But usually for at least a reference to the main site, that's usually allowed. Everything else goes to a footer. So at least what I'm seeing here, they have one wiki page, and that's why this is being associated to their brand. And so unless, I guess the follow-up question would be, can you point us to any of the if they could point us to any of the other wiki pages, that would be helpful, because at least offhand I'm not finding it. And if they don't have any, that essentially explains why, because Google's trying to associate something with their company, and this is the only thing they seem to have found.
Thank you, Micah. I don't think anyone will have anything to add to that, will they? No, that's cool. Well, I hope that's something that will guide you along the path to true enlightenment, Chase. In the meantime, that's your lot for tonight. This one is a question that is often asked. My site is not ranking properly. He said, hi there, folks. I was wondering if anyone could help me with a few minor issues regarding my site. It's coming up at 85%, and as I did it all myself, I think that's okay. The only problem is the little minor errors. These are stopping my site from ranking properly at the moment. I do not work due to accident, but I would be happy to pay a small fee or advertise for you. Thank you.
I think your answer originally, Jim, works. I don't think don't know what exactly the reference is, so could even be like an 85% score he's using through some other tool. But I think your validation score answer works.
Probably likely to be validation, do you think? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's difficult without knowing what the 85% score refers to, doesn't it?
So that's Effie on Ashdown. Thank you for your participation, and we look forward to helping you further. But we need you to come back and tell us, I should say, what that 85% stands for. Is it for validation? If so, that's not your problem. The issue of not ranking is something else. But anyway, feel free to come back and ask again. Our next is a question on moving to HTTPS for SEO. It's a question that's often asked. Greg Christen said, what do you guys think about moving to HTTPS for SEO? What have you guys seen? A drop in rankings and traffic for a while, an increase in traffic, a decrease, no change. Is it worth the change if you do everything right? Thanks, Greg.
Personally, it depends on what kind of circumstances, what kind of site you have. If you're an e-com site or any kind of site that takes either payments or information from users, so there may like maybe it's a course where people have to submit a lot of personal information, or anything where they've got to submit a lot of personal information. If it's like a local little business site for the printer down the road and he's got 20 pages just detailing the products he does, but you can't actually order it online because literally it's a bespoke service where you need to go in and see them, well then HTTPS is, in my opinion, not relevant at the minute for that. But anything that takes information or payment should already be on HTTPS. It's just good business practice in this day and age. For your customer or the people that are transmitting information. But in terms of standard, as you take any any personalized information, I know Google's pushing for it, but to me it's still sort of not really necessary. And sites that I have seen where people have converted over, there's no significant increase either or. I mean, you might get a little bump here or there on certain things, but you're not going to go from page 5 to page 1 because of HTTPS. You might go from position 5 to position 4. That's about it.
Yeah, the things to keep in mind with it, as Tim said, it's an extremely tiny ranking boost, and you get a very tiny call out on the search results. So they'll highlight that it's HTTPS by stating it there. That said, keep in mind that the browsers are looking at showcasing things are more and more secure. So the Chromium project, aka kind of Google Chrome's team, is looking at how they want to be showing what is and isn't secure, according to them, in the URL browser bar. So that's an additional thing that people will more likely see when they come to your site. All said, if you do make the choice to switch over, just be careful. There's a lot of mistakes that can happen. I just recently gave a talk a little bit that touched just a portion of this at Martech, which is essentially things like everything in the page has to be in HTTPS, images, scripts, even your ads, and you watch out for any old redirects that you've set up, because they can conflict with the new ones when you switch over. And you're going to have potentially some data issues, just because a lot of the tools out there don't do a good job of aggregating or connecting the data between the non-secure and secure versions. So that's something to bear in mind. Just unfortunately, there's just a lot of risk you have to mitigate if you're going to be switching over, and you have to be mindful of a lot of that, including even like things you don't often think about from an SEO standpoint every day, like your XML sitemaps necessarily for smaller sites. You have to then clean those up, because then all of your XML sitemaps are then doing redirects, which then you have to fix. You have to add in all your domains in the Search Console, because those are seen as separate sites. So there's just all this decent amount of work just for kind of a, for the time being, not necessarily the largest switchover. So yeah, those are a few things, yeah, to just keep in mind.
Excellent. Anybody else? Okay, I also thank Niraj Pandey for being one of our forum heroes and answering questions through the week. It is appreciated. All right, let's move on from this one and go to our next, which is number 4, I think, on your run list. Registering 2 addresses on Google My Business. Niraj Pandey said, "Hi community and Tim Kappa. I'm working on a brand website of which there are 2 locations. So before me, someone else added both locations with the same name, brackets brand name, in Google My Business. Now, if I type the brand name, Google picks up one address, but I want our other address to appear. More, we added 2 addresses with the same name in Google My Business. Google picking up one, but I want 2 to appear with an updated photo. Now, I don't know who registered that and how to correct this. I've used feedback so many times, but it didn't work." I see we've been joined by Meher Bhagat. Meher is a social media queen and human resources dynamo from New Delhi in India.
Okay, so firstly I misunderstood this. I thought he had 2 business pages, one in one location, one in another location. Let's call location A the head office, but when you search for the name, location B kept popping up. Anyway, it turns out that's not the case. I seem to think, and without any more additional info, but I seem to think that one is an old location and one is a new location, and the old location keeps appearing. So, look, the first kind of thing you're going to do there is your first location. I mean, for anyone ever moving their business, you use the same business page. Obviously, your name is going to stay the same. All you do is you just change your address to the new address when you move. You might need to re-verify it, and in some cases you don't, depending on the authority. But if you re-verify it, then all of a sudden that will redirect everything to that address. So there's a situation. I believe they've lost access. So what you're going to need to do is, I don't know, he hasn't explained, I don't know if this is a verified page. If this is old business is a verified business page that you don't have access to, you need to then go through the process as if you're claiming a business page. So you'll go to the Google My Business. You'll say, click the get onto Google. You'll type the name in, find the business page with the old address. You'll click onto that, say claim it. It will then pop up the thing saying this business is already claimed, and then it'll give you a little option to request access or admin ownership. You click on that, and then you have to send an actual sort of email saying, hi, this is my business and please grant me access. You need to go through that process. I would probably then wait around about 7 days and then actually contact business support. Business support will then see that you try to contact the owner. Business support will then see that the owner or the previous owner has not returned. Then you'll go through the process of having to potentially prove to them that that was your business, you lost access, and this is my business with my new address, and you can show them the URL. They might need to just double check and confirm and maybe phone through to you, etc., whatever the case may be, that they need to just make sure that you are or were the actual owners of that business name that used to be at that address. Then what they have to do is then they remove the verified tick from it. Once the verified is removed and they've transferred the ownership, you can then ask them to, well, you can just delete the page then because it'll be in your account. But I would recommend asking them to move it. Now, they do have in the back end a little button where they can select move, and they can actually put it to the new page, so that whenever that pops up in Maps or something like that for whilst it merges, then it actually redirects them to the new page. So that's the situation you're going to have to go down, and unless you send me more information, one with the one page, one with the other page, I still kind of don't really know which way you're going. But yeah, if you've lost access and it's verified, you need to regain access, and you need to go down to that process. And it can take a while depending on how they want to, the people at support, attempt to verify that you used to be the owners of that business at that location. And essentially that has to be proved, and then they can remove the verified tick, and then you can go ahead and merge or claim it or delete it.
Brilliant answer, Tim. I don't think anybody else is going to jump in on that one either. Cool. Okay. I hope you're happy with that, Niraj. Here's one from Thames Valley Discos, who've asked a number of questions of us. An unexpected error with sitemaps on Bing. He said, Bing sitemaps, is this common to others? For a week now, Bing just reports unexpected error with sitemaps. Not sure how to report the issue to Bing. I think Bing was throwing an error there about 3 or 4 weeks ago, but it was fixed. First thing I'd be doing would be checking to see that the way that you've created, I mean, if you've got more than one sitemap, that you've got a sitemap index and it is properly holding the URLs of your actual sitemaps. Make sure that they're not more than 10,000 URLs, or I think it's 5 megabyte in size. Is that right? Something like that.
Yeah, 5 megabyte.
Yep. And yeah, I think there could be an ongoing issue with Bing Webmaster Tools. Certainly, it was down almost a month ago, and then did come back. But the other thing is, it could be a genuine error. It could be that your sitemap is not properly configured, and what it's finding is something that's unexpected, such as a non-URL or whatever in the URL field, for argument's sake. Anybody else on this?
I think that's 10 megabytes uncompressed. I'm just reconfirming that's 10 megabytes uncompressed and up to 50,000 URLs.
Okay. You should know me. If I said 5 meg, that couldn't possibly be right. There's a sign on the wall somewhere that says I'm always supposed to be wrong. Thames Valley Discos, I think that's all we have for you tonight, and hopefully that will answer your question. If not, please ask it again. We'll endeavour to do better. Number 6 on your run list is from Mike S. Is Google smart enough to know that 2 addresses are the same? And he gives the 2 addresses: 1234 State Road 54, Newport Richey, FL for Florida 34652 is the zip code, and 1234 FL-54 Newport Richey, Florida 34652. He said, he goes on to say, yeah, because I've learned when creating citations, it is important that everything is consistent. When creating all my citations, I used State Road 54, but I noticed on my Google Plus page, it automatically changed the address to FL-54. Does this count as an inconsistency, or is Google now smart enough to know it's the same address? I use State Road 54 for everything except the one place, Google Plus, where they changed it automatically.
Yeah, you should be okay with that. Yeah, I mean, Googlebot's smart enough to understand road, RD, street, suite versus hashtag, limited versus LTD, private limited versus PTY. Yeah, they can figure that out as long as that actually is the correct within maps. And then, but yeah, they're smart enough to figure that out.
And in other news, in Texas this week, the wrong house was demolished because it was improperly listed on Google Maps. All right, Mike S. I have
That's because some dickhead map maker or some idiot decided to put a property actually pin marked into maps. Why would anyone want to do that? Because they probably wanted to that address used for a fake business listing instead of fricking creating a proper business listing through Google My Business. Some knobhead thought we'll circumvent the whole thing, go through to MapMaker, and then obviously some wallop at MapMaker approved it when you shouldn't have individual addresses marked on MapMaker anyway. So yeah, blame MapMaker, full of numpties.
Don't hold back, Tim. Okay.
Well, every single problem that ever arises to do with maps, with things being, switched, moved, anything, every single flaming issue is because of loopholes, inconsistencies. Their guidelines are all over the place, which they are tidying up to fit within the Google My Business guidelines. But yeah, I mean, there was what, 10, 15 years worth of kind of unmonitored edits. Yeah, it's a long way to go before that gets tidied up.
Okay, let's move on to the next. It's number 7 on your run list. Is JQuery SEO friendly? Prashant Kumar asks, expand table rows with jQuery, are they SEO friendly? Can Google see/index all content from an expanded table? Let me jump in and say Dave Elliott, one of our forum heroes that answers questions through the week, and Dave, we thank you so much for that. Dave said, annoyingly, the answer is it depends. Google is getting a lot better at indexing JavaScript. It will downweight any content that isn't visible on the page at load, though, brackets end. But I was working on a site this week where the expanded bit wasn't being indexed by Google at all. I would test. Grab a sentence or two that appears in the expanded table, put it into Google, and see if your page comes up, which sounds pretty reasonable. And let's call that an answer. Thank you very much for your answer, Prashant, and thank you, for your question, and thank you, Dave Elliott, for your answer. All right, our next number 8 on your run list is, oh no, a prohibited tag on my AMP pages. Chase Rayner asks, or says that he has a prohibited tag on his AMP pages. He gives an image, it's the comments count tag on his page, and he said I'm not sure how to remove comment counter. I think it might be part of my WordPress theme. Any suggestions? P.S. I'm using the Google AMP plugin for WordPress. Why? I don't think any of us are using Google AMP for WordPress, are we?
No, mate, I've still got about 30,000 pages to produce before I get anywhere close to using AMP.
We'll get typing now then.
All right, mate, I'll see you in 15 years. 15 years, you'll see a little post from you going, woohoo! I can use AMP now.
AMP disappeared 8 years ago. We'll all say.
Yeah.
You get more from Tim Capper. All right, let's move on to the next. Sorry, Chase. None of us are using AMP at this stage, so we're not much use to you. All right, our next is, I think it's number 8 on your run list, and we have a bit of a glitch here. Piyush Vasoya wants to rank his website with local search keywords. Goes on to say, hi, I want to rank my website with local search keywords, but I don't want to include those keywords on my website. Is it possible? Yes. If yes, how can I do this? Thanks. I shouldn't have said yes.
Yeah, why did you say yes?
Well, it is possible.
It is possible, but whether it's very possible, and why the hell does he want to rank for them and not put mention on his site? It smells a little bit to me.
I mean, okay, so let's say local search keyword. I mean, okay, so for the local part of it, in your footer, you're going to have your address. So that, and then you're obviously going to schema mark that up. So in theory, that will help in terms of the locality. But, you know, if you aren't actually going to talk about that product or that service on your site, and you want to rank for it, how is Google, in one sense, going to say, hey, this is the authority on this service or product or in this area? How are they going to physically see that if you don't want to provide that content? I mean, you could get a lot of, I mean, I don't know, let's say you do massive amount of, I mean, let's say this is like a one-of-a-kind product that just gets massive exposure in press, news, online. Yes, then it would be possible. But, you know, in the real world, is your product really going to attract all this kind of external links and exposure for this type of service and product? Probably not, but I might be wrong. You might have invented, you know, a Darth Vader ray gun that actually works or something. I don't know, and you attract millions and millions of links for this particular service or product. Then yeah, because you're an authority on it. But for the average real world product and service, unless you're talking about it, you know, you're not going to hit position 1. Or unless, when you say a locality, unless there's no one else in that area doing that service, yeah, then there's a possibility. But it all depends on, you know, the competition. But I'm just thinking in a fairly competitive market, like a local town with 60, 70,000 people, you're going to still have 10 plumbers and 11 hairdressers, and you know, so there is still, if you're not talking about it, there's still that possibility that you might sit on page 2, just outside, you know. If there's more than 10 services, well then you're going to have to work at it a little bit. If there's less than 10 people in the area offering this particular service or product, well then you might have a chance. So, you know, it all kind of, you've got to weigh everything up. But in the real world, I would say if you're not going to talk about it on your site, well then, you know, even if I was a search engine, I would go, well, he's not even talking about it, he's not interested in it, why should I show him? You know, I mean, that's just the real world.
Yep. That's the thing, isn't it? By winning for the keyword is fine, but if the user drops on the page and doesn't see it, it's not much of a user experience.
and I don't really want to say this, but I think I need to say this. But web hosting for business, if you honestly believe that, yeah, it's got to be a minimum of 300 words with no then 2.5, I mean, I hope to God you're joking, mate. Because keyword density is actually 2.5%. It's 2.68.43%. That's the real keyword density, mate.
We need a sarcasm button here because now it could be that somewhere out in the world someone's going to write down that the new keyword density is 2.68345. You've done it. You've gone and done it now, Tim.
Yes, mate.
It's your fault. No, I've got to go back to doing key phrase densities again, and that takes hours. It's all your fault.
Like Rob, but see, Rob, I mean, 2.4, mate. It's got to be 2.6, Rob. That's where you're going wrong.
Any advance on 2.6?
Only 301, Rob. It's actually. I won't tell you the actual words you need. The exact amount you need.
Yeah, I think Rob actually gave the best answer there. He said, just read your text out loud and listen if it makes sense or sounds spammy. That is all there is to it.
I did tell it as best answer.
Latest from the Google rumor mill is closer to 1,400 words. I'm gonna go and get a coffee.
The sad part is that it still exists.
It does,
After
and actually,
years.
there have been a few articles even published this week in a few of the more respected journals out there with people, featured authors talking about this week. The way they hide it is what they do is they compare. They basically use, they'll look at it. They'll look at a search query, then they'll look at the page, and then they will, just kind of split analyze it. Then they come out with an average, going the average of all of these particular positions was X amount of this, X amount of this, 1,400 words. I'm like, because it doesn't look at the rest of the site, it doesn't look at the domain, it does, it excludes everything, and then some poor person reads 1,400 words and goes, woohoo, my page has got to be 1,400 words, or 300, or 301. It's just, you must always remember that statistics can always be skewed into whatever shape or form that suits or the way you want to present them.
Yep.
I haven't even got started yet, Dave.
Go!
Started. Give me the next one, mate.
Well,
I'm
I know
lucky.
what happens when I do this, you see.
I haven't even got started yet. Just wait. I'm about to explode.
I just dropped a cup of coffee in my lap. Damn. Bugger.
Someone prod you through the cage.
Oh, this is my life. The tissue box is empty. Anyway, we'll soldier on. Bugger you, Web Swift SEO or whatever it was. Web hosting for. Oh, it doesn't matter. Anyway, Sadi Q said that my coder is unable to fix this. The URL as HTTP 406. This is very bad for SEO. I wonder if he knows web hosting for business. Analysis cannot be performed. Please help out with this. I don't think 406 is bad for SEO. In fact, I don't think 404 is bad for SEO. I don't think any error message is bad for SEO. 401, 403, 404, 406. I mean, these are just normal things for the web. What is 406 though, guys? It escapes me. Let me think.
I don't know, but I hope it's still on their homepage.
Let me bing it.
It's not acceptable. Apparently.
Well, that's unexpected.
The requested resource is capable of being generated on the content. Not acceptable.
Okay, so it could mean that the mod security module in Apache might be misconfigured.
Or there could be some rules in the same settings that could be preventing it. You need to check your mod security settings and the rule set isn't there.
Okay. All right. Well, look, it's obviously it's complex, but I'd be reasonably sure that it's not really a problem for SEO. Yeah, I'd have to look at it in some relaxed hours to give a better answer. All right, let's move on to the next. I'll tweet this one. And David Rozam, this means that we've finished all of our questions for yet another week, answered all of the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+, and now we move on to our weekly SEO News Roundup, in which we discuss topics of interest posted on the SEO News community. You can find a link to the SEO News community on the SEO Questions community on Google+. You can post your own topics. You can even join us in the panel to discuss them. In this case, David Rozam posted this one. Google is ranking restaurant searches by best and cheapest. This is new.
Yeah, the ironic thing is I haven't been able to replicate this, so I suspect it's US only. But
or they could be testing.
Yeah, they could be tested, but I haven't managed to catch them at it. But it's quite interesting. I was thinking about this when I saw it. That's probably the two things that you would want to know about a restaurant before you went out. If you were in a strange town, and my God, there are some strange towns around here. There would be you'd be either looking for the best one or more or more likely the cheapest one. So that's probably a useful bit of information.
But how are they going to say which restaurants are the best, or the cheapest for that matter? Because best is very much a subjective thing. So I suppose it's going to be by review scores.
It's the reviews, I would imagine. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They've already got a measure of how good a restaurant is. But the cheapest, I'm not sure. Yeah. Do you have to? Does a restaurant have to register its menu or something?
Yeah.
It's not showing yet.
Well, it would be a rare restaurant website which didn't put their menu on their site, and it would be reasonably easy for Googlebot to figure out, the prices.
This comes from answers. Because on Google Maps,
I would trust TripAdvisor more for that.
On Google Maps, when you've reviewed a place, you get asked to provide answers either there or later, and then you go through and it flips cards. So, for example, let me just go onto Maps quickly. And this is only on mobile, not on anything else. So, for example, it's not loaded. So, for example, if you've gone onto an actual property, like to review a restaurant that day, once you've finished reviewing and submitted, it will say at the very bottom of the screen, would you like to, I don't know if it says, would you like to answer some questions, or can you answer some questions on this place? And then obviously if you click yes, then it asks you questions. Also, you can in your Maps app, in your contribution section, when you click on the reviews, it will also pop up asking you, answer some questions about this place, and it kind of works its way through places you've been. So here we go. This one now is saying answer questions about a place, simple yes or no answers. This one is because it picked me up going to Domino's Pizza. So it says here, is it usually quiet here? And you answer either yes, no, or not sure. Then it'll say, is this place popular? Let me scroll through a few more. Does this place have good views? Is there a good wine list? So it asks questions, and it's building up the data as things go on, and that's how it's building up the data on it, based upon answers that people have submitted about the place.
Thank you, Tim. I see Edwin Jonk has joined us. Edwin is CEO of IDEST Host in the Netherlands. You can find Edwin at idesthost.nl.
That what Tim mentioned reminded me of something. because best, the idea of what is the best restaurant is, as I said, subjective, and it depends on what kind of person you are, what kind of place you're looking, you're looking at, or you wish to go out to. So the questions that you answer on the Maps app, is it a quiet place? Is it a busy place? Is it a sort of the hippie place? Those kind of questions are quite interesting because they are trying to, get a better view of the atmosphere, not just the price, not just the overall score, but in terms of segmenting into different types of restaurant. So a best restaurant for someone might be a place where you can take your kids because you want to go as a family.
Yeah.
That would be a different one.
And you can. Yeah, you can see it expanding also because it's asking you. I mean, I had one recently. Is there outdoor seating? And then when we answered yes, then the next one came up. Is this river frontage? So it's gauging where it is, and it's trying to gauge different questions about the place. And ultimately, at some point, when someone searches something for a river restaurant or outdoor seating or things like this, it will start being able to understand these. I mean, it's already rolling out. It's a question of the data that they can compile based upon places, and you can already see this happening in larger popular places where you've got the popular times. So if anyone, once it's built up enough data points or data sets on how many people have gone in, obviously opted in with because you have to opt in to share your location data, it then starts showing you, so you can see how this is all building up, and once it reaches enough information about a place, then it can start segmenting it. And if you do regularly answer these questions, you'll start seeing different ones being thrown into the mix, and you can then see on how it's kind of trying to build up all this information about a place so that it can actually return it to people for particular queries. It's really really interesting.
And not only for particular queries, but to the particular person, because after a while, and if you have your location on, they have a pretty good idea of where you have been as well, right? So they have data about what you were looking for, where you actually went, and if you review them, what you've liked and what you didn't like. So not only is Google having a better idea of each place and what its atmosphere is like, what would be the target audience, etc. It's also, I think, managing to figure out who you are and what kind of places you like to go. So it works both ways, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, Googlebot, I question its accuracy, though. I mean, Googlebot would look at Tim. I mean, now we know that Tim's never been to a restaurant that didn't take rubles, and yet he's answering all these questions all over Corby, and like he could be saying anything.
I mean, he's complained that his local curry house doesn't serve borscht.
Not it.
I can't think of anything. Any other Russian?
No. So there has to be the Windhoek here. That's the way to get 5 stars from Tim.
Okay. Another one posted by David Rosam. Google is displaying the people also ask box more often.
It's funny. I did this because I keep seeing these things recently. There does seem to be a plague of them at the moment. My my thoughts are just a question, really, of what what do they do for us? Are they yet another piece of noise pushing the bulk of the organic results down somewhere towards your toes if you're sitting at a table, or are they something of real utility? I'm not sure. What do the panel think? Nothing at all by the look of it.
Answered your own question.
I'm used to that now. I know they don't think at all. Okay. Well, that wasn't a very successful one, was it, Jim?
No, it was good. It was good.
I think it makes sense because people may not be posing the right questions, as it were. And if you show them other queries, people might think, actually, that's what I was really asking for. So in that sense, that makes sense, no?
And also, people are lazy. They want to use a one-button click rather than actually type in 2 words. Or they might be using a mobile phone with one hand while running along the footpath to try and catch the tram. Having a URL in the search engine results page is useful. All right, let's call that covered. I'll tweet that. Already done it. Okay. Here we have another one posted by David. Thank you, David, for your enthusiasm. And it's on consumer.
It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it.
Consumers searching for text prep are more receptive to ads. What does this mean?
I thought this was a wonderful, wonderfully contrived piece, actually. I think all this is saying is if there is sufficient pain on behalf of the on the side of the searcher, then they're more likely to click on an ad that offers to take that pain away. Yes, well, probably if you've got a burst pipe, then you're much more likely to click on an ad for emergency plumber than someone who hasn't got a burst pipe. It's tax time presumably in the US of A, and someone at Yahoo has decided to tell us that at this time people want someone to help them with their tax prep. But the more general point is very much of the moment, in as much as it's got this dollop of consumer intent or searcher intent in it. You're going after a key phrase, a set of consumers who have an interest in buying what you've got. So from that point of view, it was interesting, but the way they set it out, I thought was a bit of a yawn. But there we go.
I wonder if it's one of those self-fulfilling prophecies things, like, for argument's sake, tax prep implies that you actually have an income, maybe with disposable income, but if you don't have an income, you're not going to look for an ad to do your tax. So maybe they drew the wrong conclusion. Does that make sense? I mean, they're saying that, you know, people searching for tax prep are more receptive to ads. Well, if you're not searching for tax prep, obviously you're going to be less receptive to an ad for tax preparation.
Yeah,
I think it's, sorry, carry on, Massa.
I thought the idea was that people who are looking for tax prep are more likely to click on an ad than other queries. I thought that was...
Yeah, than dog food or respray your car or something.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think interesting thing is that one is the, if you like, the avoidance thing, isn't it? Not avoiding taxes, no, but in terms of putting it off until the last minute and, you know, starting to panic. I have to do this now. So they click on the first thing that they see. So that's similar to that sort of burst pipe scenario where you go, I need to get this done. I'm going to click on the first thing I see. So that's sort of one possible explanation. Another possible explanation, I'm just throwing this out, is that it's a serious matter. And when you're dealing with serious things, you're more likely or you're more willing to pay for something.
Yeah. That is another way of expressing the pain point that I used. Yeah, it's serious, so it has the potential to give you more pain, or it's actually giving you a lot of pain now because you've spent the last 3 days, 24 hours trying to do it, and you realise you're not getting anywhere near it, so you've got to get in the man who will sort it for you, or the woman. Yeah. Yes, it demonstrates that if it's enough of an emergency, there's a much bigger chance that you'll actually pay to have it solved. Right. Next.
All right. Let's move on. Another one from David Roseanne.
Yes.
Which manual action notice?
Nope. Oh, yes.
Hang on. Am I on here? Is my button working? Yep. Okay. Google said which. Oh, no. The title says which manual action does Google send the most? At SMX West earlier this month, Juan Philippe Rinson from the manual actions team at Google talked in great depth about manual actions and said that the largest volume of manual actions are for hacked websites or for content not placed there by the site owner. Well, that's interesting.
Yes, I thought it was. Although I did scratch my head a bit and wonder the difference between hacked websites or one that has content placed there not by the site owner.
Yeah, but that could be from a man-in-the-middle attack. That they could have somebody in the same data center emulating their MAC address and intercepting their traffic, slipping in a couple of links to Turkish massage parlors and forwarding on the page.
Which only goes to show that I'm only a writer.
The only reason I know it's because it happened to me.
Oh, right.
You can avoid it by making sure that your server is puts you on a VLAN, so that like your own VLAN exclusive to you, and it exits the data center in one hop from your server out, because most of these exploits take place from other servers in the same data center. It's a bit harder to implement a man-in-the-middle attack once the traffic's out in the wild. Yeah, but
yeah, I think, you know, that this statement kind of says two things: that that there are either an awful lot of hacked websites out there, and people and companies are not very good at keeping their websites secure, or that Google thinks that this is a pretty big problem, you know, a pretty bad problem in the.
Well, I think I wasn't surprised. Hacking websites skills great, right? You have a crawler, you crawl the web, you find the WordPress site. If you have an exploit for a particular version, you probably can find the WordPress version on the page, and then you do your exploits, right? It scales, so it makes sense that hacked websites are one of the largest volume of manual actions.
99.99% of them would be WordPress sites. Yeah,
yes, I think you know, from my experience, the WordPress sites that don't get updated are those that have been commissioned by a small business. They get a website designer or a dev in, and they build it for the small company, and then the designer or the dev says, right, well, I'm quite happy to keep it up to date. It's going to cost you X pounds a month, and the small business says, oh no, bugger that, and it never gets updated. I've seen some absolutely incredibly old WordPress installations out there. Oh no, we had it built in 2010, and no, we didn't feel like paying for the maintenance. So, you know, it doesn't get done, and the effect is as stated earlier.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Funnily enough, this one was posted by David Roseanne. It's titled Continuing to Make the Web More Mobile Friendly. And it said Google is still riffing on mobile friendliness. I thought riff was a guitar thing.
Yeah, yes. They're all guitar heroes now. They all pretend to be Slash or Jimmy Page, or if they're a bit older, Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, I just wonder about Google's pushes for certain things. I mean, sure, more mobile traffic is via mobile now than desktop. That's because every man and his dog has a little smartphone, and they're using a tool which they weren't using 2 years ago, or 4 years ago, or 6 years ago. But you know, sometimes, I mean, for some sites it's valuable, but for other sites, it's not valuable at all. It's not useful at all. An example might be a travel site where people explore on mobile phones, but they don't commit on the mobile phone. I don't have the figures to back this up, but people generally use the mobile phone for exploration, but they don't commit to buying anything unless they're on their desktop at home. And that's possibly because a commitment to travel usually requires both parties, both husband and wife, or partner and partner, to agree on the destination, on where they're going to stay or whatever. And that's generally at home, when they might be on a desktop or on an iPad in front of the telly, but not on the mobile. So it's all very well for Google to be talking about, or pressuring us to make the web more mobile friendly, but where's the value? Where's the return on the investment?
Well, I guess the argument would be for holiday type sites is that the original contact would be made over mobile, and that would lead via perhaps an iPad or tablet visit to a final booking from a desktop, and without the possibility of engagement with through the phone, you may not get the first engagement further down the device funnel, if you like.
Yeah. So Google is still riffing is a term which means exactly what? The Google is still
going on about it.
Going on about it. Okay.
Droning, if you should feel so inclined. But I thought it was quite nice. Obviously you didn't, but you know, us young people use all sorts of terms you old people don't understand.
Yes, that's true. All right. It's that time again. We still have eyes watching us, and we thank you for that. Your interest in what we do makes what we do worthwhile, and we appreciate that very much. We'll be back at the same time next week to do this all again, but for now it's good night.